Times, the city's budget is being stretched to the breaking point. But to economize by cutting back on maintenance and development of our parks, in particularly Lansdowne Square, which of course is the recreational facility for the city, that seems to us to be the height of dollar foolishness. The zoo alone attracts over 100,000 visitors a year, not to mention the planetarium, the free skating rink, the bicycle, the bridle paths, the athletic fields, all the... Yes. What happened? You see Reggie Robbins? What happened?
What happened to the hospitality here at the Banner? Don't I get a cup of coffee?
Sure, help yourself. Well, what happened? Is there a merger or no?
No go.
What? You mean he just turned you down? He didn't even want to think it over?
Yep, that's it.
But why? Look, these papers are in a perfect position for a merger. The Banner dominates the whole area in the morning. The Chronicle is picking up in the evening.
Doing more than picking up, sweetheart. We're 33,000 up on you in circulation and moving further ahead every month. Now, don't you see? Reggie Robbins may be a cutthroat. He may have no journalistic principles, whatever, but he's nobody's fool. He knows that he doesn't have to enter into a merger agreement with you. All he has to do is sit back and wait for the Banner to die on the vine.
So he really thinks we have no chance for survival?
That is exactly his considered opinion.
Well, he's wrong.
That may be. I hope you're right. But as long as he thinks he can pick up the Banner at fire sale prices... Incidentally, I tried to resign. He wasn't having any part of it.
What do you mean? He's holding you to your contract?
To the letter.
Oh, boy. Well, we're just going to have to show Mr. Reggie Robbins.
Oh, really?
I think he's going to be very, very sorry that he didn't take me up on my offer when he had the chance.
Well, just what are you going to do?
I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to find out just exactly where we stand and how much financial to figure I'm going to put on my chips. Yes, I certainly appreciate your very candid assessment of the situation. By all means. Thank you. Okay. At the rate we're going, the Banner will have reached the end of its financial resources by this time next year.
Well, that gives you some time to try and turn things around.
Yes, it certainly does. And I, of course, have already begun discussing various options with some of the people around here. I won't bore you with the details. Anyway, Mr. Robbins might try and pump you for some information about the enemy.
Which you know I would never tell him.
Oh, I know that. I know. Now, tell me something. Are you going to invite me to lunch or not? I only have to wait for one phone call from Chicago, and then I'm free.
I am absolutely going to take you to lunch.
Good.
Oh, I have a real estate appointment this afternoon.
Yeah?
I'm going to look at the old Ridgely estate. What do you think?
Oh, dear. That's so dark and brooding.
Yes, but it has nice woods. Got a horse barn, tennis court, swimming pool for the kids.
Sweetheart, we don't really need to buy a place like that. Especially since I already own the perfect place for us to live after we're married.
You don't mean Landfair?
Of course I mean Landfair.
What about Dorian?
Dorian would simply have to go.
You really are a very good deadpan comic. The idea of marching in and evicting Dorian from Landfair.
That is exactly what I intend to do.
You're serious.
Of course I'm serious. Why shouldn't I be? Landfair belongs to me.
Well, I know that, but Dorian is...
Dorian knowingly gave up all title to that place when she remarried. That was the provision in Father's will, to make sure that the house stayed in the Lord family. So, you might say that I am simply, however belatedly, carrying out my father's wishes.
I might say that, and you might say that, but Dorian is another matter.
Nonetheless, that's what I would like to do. Unless, of course, you have an objection to living there.
I have no objections whatever.
You don't feel that your sense of manhood would be threatened by moving into your wife's digs?
Not one bit. In fact, now that you bring it up, I think it's a highly practical idea.
Good. Let's put the wheels in motion.
What are you going to do? Have your lawyer pay Dorian a call?
Oh, no. I think I owe her the courtesy of a personal visit at the very least. Joanne, I'm going out to Landfair for an hour. I'll be back.
An hour?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're going to be there more than 5 minutes. And just in case you need a safety net, I'm going to go along.
Oh, you just want to be in on the fun.
That's right. You know, I wouldn't miss this one for the world. Shall we go?
Riley and Mr. Buchanan, madam.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Karen.
Hello, Vicky. Thank you for coming by.
Dorian, don't you look nice?
Well, thank you. So do you. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry everything is in such a dreadful mess. It's just that Wilton Veneer and I were just ranging all over this house, making plans and drawing sketches.
Wilton Veneer?
Yes. The interior decorator, dear. I'm surprised you haven't heard of him. He's one of the best in the Philadelphia area.
You're, redecorating the place?
Yes. In fact, I had a wonderful idea. I was thinking of offering either of your two newspapers, I don't care, the two of you can fight over it if you want, an exclusive article. Your sort of before and after piece for the Sunday magazine section. You could send a photographer here. He can take pictures of this house in its present, forgive me, Vicky, rather gloomy state. And then come back in a month or so after Wilton and I have worked our respective magic, and it will just be marvelous. After all, this is a fine, older home. It would interest antiquarians as well as the usual celebrity watchers. There's nothing the matter.
Have you made a commitment to Mr. Veneer?
A commitment?
You know, a contract, something like that?
No. Heavens. First I want to see his sketches and, of course, get a detailed estimate.
Well, that's good, because that means we're not too late.
Too late for what?
Dorian, as I'm sure you are aware, Clint and I are making plans to get married. We haven't set the date yet. That's the reason you haven't received an invitation.
Oh, I was wondering about that.
So, as I was saying, as you will undoubtedly recall, under the terms of my father's will, this house and the property reverted to me once you remarried. The purpose of the provision, of course, being to ensure that the house stayed in the direct line of the Lord family.
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
And, of course, since the carriage house, my house, and Clint's apartment are obviously going to be inadequate for our needs, we have decided that we're going to live here. Therefore, I'm going to have to request that you vacate the premises just as soon as possible. Would 30 days be sufficient?
Evicting me.
I wouldn't exactly call it that.
You inform me that I must vacate these premises within 30 days? What else would you call it?
Dorian, you've always known that Vicky was going to take this house over again sooner or later.
I cannot believe you're doing this.
I'm afraid I am. Dorian, I'm very sorry if this is such an emotional issue for you, but you understand, my roots are here at Landfair. I want my children to grow up here.
Two roughneck little boys. I mean, there's an end to my rose garden. What about your father's oriental carpets, all the antiques in this house? Within 2 months, the place will be in a shambles.
Aren't you getting a little carried away?
I'm very sorry that I cannot give you more than 30 days' notice, but as you know, we are being married very soon. And besides, I do think it's ample time to find someplace else.
I don't want someplace else. This is my home, and I intend to stay here.
You have gone round and round with Vicky for some time now, but obviously her mind is made up, or she wouldn't have come here.
Go on, tell me. What part did you have in this decision?
Oh, just a moment, Dorian. This was my idea, and I began thinking about it when I was in jail.
Oh, so that's what's behind this. Revenge. You deluded yourself that I was responsible for your being in jail, and so you sat there day after day, and your paranoia led to bitterness, and your bitterness produced this plot for revenge.
Oh, for Pete's sake, will you knock it off? Now, that might be the way your mind works, but Vicky doesn't think that way.
Really? How does Vicky think? How does Vicky think she has the right to throw me and my daughter out into the streets in 30 days?
What's going on?
You won't believe what your Aunt Vicky has planned for us.
Hello, Cassie.
Hello, Cassie, how are you?
Oh, please, would you spare us all this false politeness? My daughter is not so easily fooled.
What?
Cassie, your Aunt Vicky is suffering from some sort of Cinderella complex. She's just dying to throw her wicked stepmother out on the streets. You know, Vicky, I've always known that you resented me. But I did think that you cared much more about Cassie's welfare.
Mom,
Oh, actually, I was under the impression that Cassie no longer lived here.
She does live here.
what? No, I'm staying here. I'm
Dear,
living at Mrs.
you were
Hopkins'
staying
father
at
comes
Mrs.
home.
Hopkins during the summer. But now that school has started, you will be living here once again.
No.
Yes.
Dorian, do you think you really should be putting Cassie through this? Cassie, your Aunt Vicky just wants to take possession of a house that is legally hers.
We'll see about that.
Mom, you're not going to start on this whole thing about the annulment again. You promised you wouldn't.
Dear, what is it that you wanted to see me about?
Well, nothing. I mean, nothing that can't wait. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye, Vicky. Goodbye, Clint.
Bye,
Bye,
Cassie.
sweetheart.
Nice try, Dorian.
Okay, Dorian, let's wind this up. Now, there are any number of estates in the immediate area that are simply begging for owners. And if you do have trouble finding something right away, I can easily let you stay in the carriage house until you do find something.
The carriage house is hardly adequate for my needs.
Well, then you can surely understand why it is inadequate for our needs, can't you? In any case, if you don't want to stay in the carriage house, that's fine. You just stay in a hotel suite, but 30 days it is.
You're going to have to evict me. You are going to have to carry me out of here bodily, and that's no idle threat. I think I'll let the media know all about this. Let them all know about this nasty, sordid event.
Such dramatics are hardly necessary.
Oh, no, wait a minute. That might be just a great idea. The Chronicle and the Banner ought to sell a lot of newspapers.
I want you both to leave. This is still my house, and I want you out.
Dorian, when you do start packing, I would like you to bear in mind that most of the furniture, the paintings, the rugs, and the artifacts in this house are mine.
Oh!
To all of her rights, and instead of being grateful, she's behaving like she's being victimized. Well, I never certainly expected her to be grateful, but even I wasn't prepared for this. In fact, it made me very, very angry. How dare she threaten to make a media event out of what she is choosing to call her eviction?
Oh, well, somehow I think that eventually even Dorian will see how ridiculous she's behaving. I mean, playing the part of the poor, dispossessed millionaire somehow isn't very sympathetic, is it? No, if anything, she's much more likely to try and find some legal maneuver to hang on to Landfair.
Well, she's tried that before and it didn't work.
Oh, she's gonna try something, you know that. It's much too powerful a symbol to her, for her to let it go that easily.
Excuse me. Hello? Hello, Dorian.
Isn't it a beautiful morning? How are you?
So far, I'm just fine. What can I do for you?
Vicky, I've been thinking about our little problem, and I think I've found the perfect solution. I'd like to come over there right now and talk to you about it. Is that all right?
Oh, yes, that would be just fine. Come right on over. I must say a perfect solution would be very welcome. Landfair? Clint thinks it's a terrific idea, so do I. So now it's up to you. Well, what do you say? Do you want to move into the West Wing? You, Tony, and Jimmy? I don't know what to say. Come on. After all, Tony has already made it his home once, and actually, the more I think about the idea, the better I like it. We would be separated just enough so we wouldn't get in each other's hair, and we'd be close enough so we could enjoy all the advantages of Landfair, the tennis courts, the stables, the pool, the grounds. It's got a sumptuous view.
Vicky, don't have to sell me on it. I'm overwhelmed. I mean, in all of my wildest dreams, I never imagined living in a house like that.
Do you think you might do it?
Are you kidding? I'd love to. Well, of course, I have to speak to Tony and Jimmy first.
Of course.
But I don't see any reason why they'd refuse.
Oh, Pat, it would be so marvelous having you and Tony close by. I tell you, I am so wild at the idea of moving back in there again. I've gotten all sentimental and funny about it ever since I first thought about it. And I really want to make the house into the kind of house it was when I was growing up there. And it would be so good for the children. That's why I don't feel in the slightest bit guilty about taking it away from Dorian. Landfair has much too much to offer to be the sole domain of one lonely, discontented woman.
Yeah, it has been a waste, hasn't it?
Oh, it's a total waste, and it's not properly used. We could get some ponies for the kids and get some horses for ourselves.
Oh, I bet Clint will like that, huh? And Jimmy? You know something? I'm going. I really don't want to be around if Dorian's coming over and you're going to tell her that you've asked me to live in Llanfair with you. I mean, unless you need my moral support.
No, I think I can deal with Dorian now. Actually, she sounded so affable over the phone that I think she's probably reconciled herself to the inevitable.
Really? Well, good luck. But listen, thanks for coming up with such a wonderful idea.
Oh, don't thank me. I'm being selfish. I want you there.
Well, I gotta tell you, Reggie hit the ceiling. You know, he hates to be scooped on anything, but to be scooped on a crime story is a catastrophe.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry I got you in hot water.
Don't you dare be sorry. I'm proud of you. You know, I promised Reggie that we'd make the next breakthrough on this story, so you better watch out.
I will. I'll post the lookouts. Thank you. Oh, sweetheart, I wish we were on the same side.
Well, so do I. We will be before long. In the meantime, we'll just have to fight the good fight. But don't you get mad at me now when we pull something off.
I promise. Even if you scoop us every single day.
Don't you be making promises you can't keep.
Oh, sweetheart, that's the doorbell. I am expecting Dorian. She called earlier and said she had a solution to our problem.
Our problem? Oh, you mean about her moving out of Landfair?
Uh-huh.
That's not our problem. That's her problem. All right, beautiful lady. I'll let you hang up. I love you.
I love you too, darling. Bye-bye.
Dorian. Hello, Vicky. Oh, my. Don't you look marvelous.
Thank you.
Vicky, I feel dreadfully ashamed of having lost my temper yesterday. So I've come over here with a peace offering. You know what this is, don't you?
Yes, it's Father's Ming vase.
Yes, it's one of his favorites. I want to give it to you. I know it'll look just beautiful in this room. In fact, I've spotted a great place for it. Oh, yes, I think it looks wonderful.
Yes, it looks wonderful. Dorian, it wasn't at all necessary.
Yes, it is necessary, Vicky. First of all, I'm redecorating the house. It doesn't fit in with the color scheme, except perhaps in a guest bedroom, and it would be a shame to hide something so spectacular away.
Why are you continuing with the redecoration? I thought you had a solution to the problem.
I do.
Oh, right.
Why don't we just call it a compromise? I think we should share Landfair. It's big enough for both our families. It's big enough for 4 families. It's the perfect solution. I'll stay where I am, and you'll move into the West Wing. The children can enjoy all the amenities, and Cassie will be a sort of live-in babysitter. Well, it's certainly big enough for you. There are 12 rooms over there, all of them very beautiful, and I would have them redecorated at my expense.
No, Dorian.
Please, I insist on it. It'll be sort of my wedding present, my welcoming present to you, and believe me, it will be done in such a way that, it takes out your taste, your I can see that you like this sort of rustic touch, and I can assure you that, all your furniture and the little darling objet that you collect will fit right in. Why, even that darling horse weather vane.
Dorian, I'm very sorry. I've already offered the West Wing to Pat and...
You've asked Pat and Tony.
Why not? I would love to have them close by.
And me? What are you going to do? Throw me into the street for Pat and Tony?
Oh, Dorian, come on now. In the first place, you're certainly not being thrown out into the street. I've given you ample time to find new quarters. Not only that, I've offered you this house as a stopgap should it be necessary. And in second place, Pat and Tony would not be replacing you in the main house. I have offered them the West Wing, an area you have always disdained.
Oh, you've thought this through very carefully, haven't you? Probably with Tony's help. What have I ever done to deserve such antagonism? Why do you hate me?
I don't think that hate is quite the right word. Although, Dorian, now that you ask me that question so directly, I will admit that I have always felt a certain distaste for you, yes.
I beg your pardon.
Dorian, we have lived in this town since my father died, as if we had shared no past before then. And I suppose that's a very good thing because we had shared business interests. But I have to tell you that had I had a choice, I would have had nothing to do with you.
Well, I have always known that.
Come on. There is no shortage of the really dreadful things that you have done to some of the people in this town over the years. But the worst, the absolute worst, and the one thing, Dorian, that I will never forgive you for was your trying to keep Father and Tony from finding each other before he died. In order, I suspect, to keep Tony from inheriting his rightful share of the estate. Not only did you deny Father the comfort of a reconciliation with his only son, you also denied him the solace of having his loved ones by his bedside when he was dying. And that was despicable, Dorian, and cruel. Especially considering how much he loved you and how good he was to you. And although I personally have chosen not to think that you are personally responsible for his death, I am not in the slightest surprised that there are still a great many people in this town who harbor that suspicion. And in spite of all of that, Dorian, I am not taking Landfair from you because of hatred or revenge, but because it is mine. It belongs to me. And I have a need to live there now. I want to live there. I want to live where I was born and where I grew up and where I spent many, many happy hours as a child. And I see no reason why my children should be denied the benefit of those experiences.
Are you through?
No. I also want you to know that I'm not in the slightest sorry that I'm making you leave.
Well, it's out in the open, isn't it? I must say I find it a relief. Because you see, you may deny that what you feel for me is hatred. I think hatred is a wonderful word for it. But that's all right with me. I'm used to it. I am used to people saying terrible, malicious things to me, about me. But that does not change facts. The facts are your father wanted nothing to do with Tony, and the facts are that he left Landfair to me.
Dorian, you read the will until you remarried.
That's beside the point.
When are you going to get it through your head? You have no rights to that house.
We'll see if I have any rights. We'll see what a judge decides. I promise you one thing. You and Clint will never move into Landfair. I don't understand why you're wasting time trying to steal Landfair from me. You should be expending your energies at the Banner, trying to save the paper, which through your incompetence She's on the verge of bankruptcy.
For once, I felt I really had to tell Dorian exactly what I thought of her.
Good for you. She's had it coming for a long time.
I know, but you know her. There's water off a duck's back. You know, she really does not understand that she's going to have to pack her bags and really move out of Landfair.
Well, facing reality has never been Dorian's strong suit. And you got to remember something. Landfair means power to her, just like her money, like the prestige of the Lord name.
I know. She feels she's absolutely nothing behind all that show of wealth. That's why she keeps talking about what's expected from a woman in her position rather than what's really bothering her.
I don't think she's ever dared face that.
I feel sorry for her.
So do I. Unfortunately, there's nothing anyone can do to help her until she realizes herself that she needs help.
I know. And we're all inclined to forget that that's a very unhappy woman under all that aggressiveness.
Poor Dorian.
You know, I really would never have dreamed of taking that house away from her if she had been at all capable of keeping her family together. But as it is, I see no reason why my children should be deprived of their inheritance just to satisfy her delusions of grandeur. And I think my father would have approved of that decision.
I'm sure he would have. Now, don't worry about it.
I know, it's just that I don't ever like to hurt anyone intentionally if I can help it. Even Dorian.
You know, that's one of the many things I love about you. You really care about people. No matter what they've done, you really care about them.
So do you.
You want to know how Rangers do it, how they take a lead sheet and turn it into something for parts of the whole band. I'm sticking to singing. You all right?
No.
What is it? What's all this stuff?
This is the third quarter statement from the accountants at the Banner. I didn't even look at it till after dinner. I knew it was going to be bad news.
Oh, Vicky, what does it say?
Well, it says that our pre-Christmas retail advertising is off 30% from last year. A combination of bad times and our inferior competitive position, they say. Of course, the reasons don't matter at all. The bottom line, Becky, is that we only have operating capital for another month.
A month? I thought you said last week you thought you...
I know. I thought we had a year to turn this thing around. If we don't, these figures don't lie. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I don't know what to say. Is there anything I can do?
You got about $30 million? Okay. In that case, I'm just going to have to go to the bank, see if they'll lend me the money. Unfortunately, in the view of these figures, they're not going to want to do that.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, certainly the good name of the Banner. The banks can't want the paper to go under. No, anybody in this community.
No, of course they don't. We're very respected. We're an institution, but none of that means anything. We are losing money hand over fist. Our circulation is down. Our advertising revenue is way down.
The heck is that at 11 o'clock at night?
Who is it?
Open the door, I'll tear it down.
Oh, how did you know?
I know what?
How much I needed you right now.
Well, I was just on my way home, and I saw the lights on.
You got a telepathic message.
I did?
Uh-huh. I'm going to go on upstairs and finish working. Cheer us, Letty, up, will you? Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Becky.
All right, what is it? Oh, wait a minute. Dorian giving you grief again. I told you I'd handle everything with Landfair.
I wish that's all it were.
Well, what is it?
Sweetheart, we made a deal. We were not going to mix in or discuss each other's business.
That's after we're married.
Okay. In that case, oh boy, have I got trouble.
That it?
Look in the blue folder.
This one? A month? They're only giving you a month?
That's right.
Wait a minute, there's got to be some mistake.
Oh,
Just a
darling.
couple weeks ago, they were telling you...
No, there's no mistake. I've been going over these figures for hours. There's just no mistake.
Okay, well, all this means is you're going to have to work a little faster than you thought. Now, you're going to have to... All right, we'll get the concessions in the new union contract. You got to modernize the plant. All that stuff that we talked about before.
There's no time. The way things stand now, I can't even meet the December 1st payroll.
Well, you're going to have to get the capital.
From where?
Well, with the kind of money you're talking about, I suggest you start with a bank.
Darling, I intend to first thing in the morning, but they're not
No
going to...
buts. Now, we're going to find the money somehow. Don't worry.
That's great. The Chronicle's going to come and rescue the banner.
No. I love you very much. I know how much you love that newspaper. Now, that's all there is to it, plain and simple. I got an order for you. You have a hot toddy or something. You go up to bed, and you don't worry. You get up fresh and tackle this thing in the morning. I just remember that's why I really stopped by here tonight. You lock this door behind me. You go to bed and go to sleep. You hear me?
I love you.
I love you.